Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is strange. Why is it on a Thursday? Well, because it was supposed to be yesterday, but then obviously there are games that were going on Wednesday. So we decided it'd be a lot easier of a talking point to discuss the games that have happened on Wednesday, on Thursday, instead of just waiting for things to roll in. And as you can see, we are joined by some guests because normally, we'll bring the guests on later. But because there's no preview this week for the games that, not having everyone's got a lovely week off, we're going to bring them in early. We are finally joined by some of those damn Hull Sharks.
Yes.
And it's taken so long. So guys, introduce yourselves to the people. From it looks like 2000 as you sit in the dark there, but yeah, give it a go.
Go on, Britball. I'm Britball Brucey. I've got the laptop from 1977, and I'm Hull Sharks game day manager. I'm on.
Well done, Britball.
Thank you.
I'm Jamie. I'm the resident shit talker of the club, and I run it. So
You run the shit talking or you run the club?
both.
Run it into the fucking ground is what you're doing. No,
That's not part of that.
hey, well, we'll get into it. I'm sick of the Hull Sharks been slagging us off all season, almost as bad as LJMU. But we'll go then. But then,
well, I tried, and then you blocked me on Sport Tanks.
I didn't do that. That was someone else.
My bad, Ted. You unblocked me. Thank you very much.
that is true. And then obviously we've got Connor and Dylan here, both with big news. Both with big news. As Dylan, obviously, they have completed their undefeated season. They are now Div 1 bound. But I feel like because Connor wasn't here last time, let's have a talk to Connor about something. The MMU Eagles. Just quickly, we will get into Hull, but the MMU Eagles go 2 in a row and have staved off relegation. They are still in Division 1. Yeah. How are you feeling about all of that? Because obviously when the result came in against Sheffield, me and Dylan wanted to talk to you, but obviously you weren't available because I imagine you were too busy with a hoarse throat, champagne being poured all over you. You couldn't be doing it. It poured it all over your laptop and it was all over for you.
Yeah, it's. Do you know what? I think I said this back when the game against Hallam. We went there. Dylan, no. We went there, and it was everybody expected us to get blown out. Everybody expected that it was down, and it's credit to the players, like 100%. They never quit, never gave up, believed in what they were doing, and the rest is history. We went into Sheffield knowing it was a winnable game after the performance against Hallam, and then it was just pure grit against the Tyrants that keeps us up.
And Dylan, how are you feeling? How's your ankle? How's the Super Bowl? Just how are you?
Fine. I'm doing great. I'm excited to play the Hull Sharks more than anything twice next year.
Oh, I thought you were meaning the playoffs. I was going to say.
No. 2 games next year. That's what it's about.
Well, not from what I've heard, but
Oh, they mixing divisions about.
Apparently so. Apparently,
the redraw for Div 1 is going to be nuts. The redraw for Div 2 is going to be weird as well.
Your schedule would be disgusting if you stayed in the league next year.
A request has apparently, and I say apparently like I've not been CC'd, a request has been lodged for a Scottish division to be formed. So
yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah. Get in.
Have fun against Sterling there, Dylan.
And UWS in the same league. That's mental.
Yeah, it's
Sterling and UWS in the same division.
I don't envy Tanya's job this summer. Let's put it that way.
Honestly, I think before we get started, we need to give a shout out to Tanya for figuring this all out, because he's the man. He's the man in the sky. Realistically, figured all this out just so we could have a podcast and talk nonsense. And you know what, Connor and the MMU Eagles, they've staved off relegation. Who else has staved off relegation there? Britball and Jamie. Who else has staved off relegation?
Was it Northumbria?
No, it wasn't Northumbria. Oh, poor lads.
The whole Sharks managed to do it
Somehow,
again.
some way, Tebs. Don't you worry about us.
Two
Obviously,
years
by-
on the bounce, he stayed up by beating only the team that got relegated, and will continue to do it next year.
By the grace of God, the whole Sharks are still in Division 1. Like, how was your season? Like, did at any point you think that you should stop tagging my personal account in Instagram messages and go to training? Was that ever
No. I still had full belief going into the last game of the season that we could make playoffs. All we needed was a 60-0 win, and we could have had it.
We had the high-powered offense to do it.
With a 5.875 per game point average.
I had a good chat with Aidan, your head coach, on Sunday.
Don't say this out loud. Don't say this out loud. It'll only cause friction within the club.
It had some interesting things to say.
But we stayed up.
Defense looks good.
That's all that matters.
Defense looks good.
I love that. I was gonna on this show. I'm going to tease a conversation that I had, but instead I'm just going to say, well, the defense was the defense is good.
Jeff, I bet you've got no hair, lad.
This is what you deserve. Come on here and slate you. So, how was your season from like an in-club perspective, guys? Because obviously we can only look at the records and the memes. But how was it for everyone personally?
Be serious for this one because it's quite a serious question. It was an interesting one going into the year because we didn't know what was actually going to happen with us. We changed everything. We had a complete overhaul in the coaches. We had a complete overhaul in the culture that we were wanting to bring in. I've never seen in my 25 years on this planet an overhaul in a club as much as what we had targeted. Like, we'd sat down and we said we want it to be completely different. Some people didn't buy into it. Some people did. That naturally will happen. Obviously, we went into the season with the aspirations of winning everything. That's what you want. But we're also realistic to realise that we weren't going to go 8-0 and go deep into the playoffs and go and become a Prem team next year. Like, that would just been silly to expect that after 1 year. After the first game of the season, we were like, this isn't us. And then obviously it ended up going to like 1-1, and we're like, this is us. Like, we'll challenge. Because we were of the opinion that Edinburgh were the best team in the division at that point. Because obviously looking at what had happened with Leeds last year, and we thought if we can beat Edinburgh first game of the season, it puts us in a real good position. Obviously, that I think that the big shock of our division this year is how naff Edinburgh have ended up being record wise. In terms of playing abilities, they've been there, but in terms of the record, it's just gone Pete Tong. Between that and Glasgow being actually a good team. And yeah, so we went in and we were expecting to do better than we did, but we were also understanding it's the first year of a long process, and that actively we know that as a club we look better this year than we did last year, which people can go, well, you had the same record and whatever. The offense still didn't score as much as we want, but we're obviously seeing the improvements of what was there. I think we lost a lot of players on defense, which made like a lot of starters on defense that made it actively harder for us to play. But I think we still, apart from obviously the Leeds game, which we still kind of held our own. We were kind of unlucky in certain positions where we were put defensively in a position where it was made a lot harder. Dylan can probably vouch for that when he came down to watch the Edinburgh game. Like, the scoreline suggested a bit of a...
It's 20-0 at half time, though. That second half defensively, the only problem I'd say that actually kept you out of the game was, I don't know if it was different this season, but your offense didn't get consecutive first downs, I don't think, for the majority of the game.
Yeah,
it was get anything going with that.
It was kind of the story of the season. Towards the end of the season, the last two games of the season, we got going a bit more. Glasgow, I felt like they played quite well. They had like 3 80-yard drives and just couldn't get it in the end zone. Like, it's just one of those. We just need to be more more clinical towards the end. But the first half, especially of the season, it was just we were just inconsistent on offense, and we'd throw a pick and get left on our own 15, and to hold people out from their own 15, it's always going to be a tough ask. So yeah, it's one of those. But towards the end of the season, the offense has got going, and then if they can keep that going into next year, it's obviously going to be looking a lot better. We kind of look at and I've been looking towards the end of this year, and I'm looking at how kind of LJMU have done, where for years they've been the whipping boys of the division, just stayed up, dragged themselves through, and then this year, obviously, whether you love them or hate them, they've made playoffs. They're not. They're kind of what they are now is what we were looking at to be at the beginning of the season, where it's kind of getting to playoffs. We've got something to work on from there. But yeah, they're a good bunch of lads, Sir LJMU, and they have their marketing just right.
I would just no, they do not.
Because I could have this conversation with you all day, Connor. We can have this debate. If we want to have this debate, we can have this debate.
Look, they're a good side.
It's like you can watch a TikTok being made in real time, can't you?
Yes.
So yeah, so I agree on that sense. How we saw it, because we had the conversation last year, and I was dead against it. I was like, no, it's cringy, whatever. And then we had the conversation. We said, as long as we don't do stuff that's like, we're not getting people doing TikTok dances and stuff, because that's not the sport. But as long as it's relevant to the sport to an extent, and it's not promoting us in a bad way, I don't see any issue with it, because obviously we see a little bit more in comparison to people that aren't at uni anymore, just how much traction clubs get from TikTok. Like, I'm getting teams from other unis, not even American football, their football teams and their basketball teams coming up online. And I'm like, if that's going to get one or two people in, then go for it. I'm sure it was Dylan that said it in the past. TikTok kind of isn't monitored as much within the union restrictions as Instagram, Facebook. So we've always, up until we stayed up, always had the idea of Instagram and Facebook. We're staying professional. We're keeping it going. And then, as Sam Johnson said, TikTok is lawless. Like, we can do whatever we want with it. That will change. It'll know that. I would say it's probably Leighton Strope. It wasn't. It's the end of the season. What was I going to say? I don't know.
That'll end up changing. LJMU are potentially going to get cancelled, which would be a great shame, but hopefully not.
Oh, but yeah, like going into next year, I'd say probably sports unis will probably crack down a little bit more, because it's getting bigger. But we'll just stick with it as it goes. We'll have some fun.
The thing is, with Britball is it's like, if you get 3 more players, that could be huge.
Exactly.
If you manage to do that via sort of any means, I don't think, my biggest surprise, I suggested doing it. I didn't expect quite as many people to be really keen for it. Like, I sort of said it as like a semi-haphazard, do you reckon? And everyone went, that'd be good. And everyone sort of, if you have fun with it, I think LJMU have really they've just gone for like a pure Instagram meme page style. And I'm all for it. And you see, like, they've got clubs in Liverpool commenting on it. If you get 2 or 3 more people sort of with the social aspect of the club like that, that's huge for any Britball team. I'd love 3 more players getting into playoffs.
Exactly. We were lacking a couple of players at times, and if it had brought in 1 extra lineman and 1 extra receiver or an extra quarterback that's never played before, but then turns out to be an absolute stud, it changes your team. So we've gone with the attitude of, let's just kind of take the piss a bit. Let's have some fun with it. Let's have a laugh. Let's not take it seriously. And then if it brings some people in that are also wanting to have a laugh and just try out the sport, and yeah.
Listen, it's serious, it's different. Like, you've got Birmingham Lions seem to have some sort of social media manager. If we're like a Div 2 Borders team kicking about with a social media manager like that, then everyone will be like, oh, what are you doing? Focus on the game, fair play. But our level, if you have, I think it's sort of the self-mick taken as well. But I think in terms of going into the future, it has to be done.
Well, that's it. Because if you look at like the Prem as well, and how Cardiff, just like how a fun day out with the lads has basically taken over the league this year. Just like you can see that even coming from a Prem perspective, having something that is, for a lack of a better term, meme worthy, can genuinely have, reverberate around the sport and be mentioned by, multiple other teams within the entire country and become a talking point.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not,
like
I say, I'm not against any of that. I think that's the side of it that I can completely agree with and completely get behind. The bit that I'm struggling to get behind is the shit talking, piss taking, lawlessness, as they put it, of TikTok that essentially goes completely unmonitored. And when you give a bunch of 18 to 25-year-olds roughly access to that when it's not their own faces, that's when you have a problem.
But you get the problem is, unless we're in UWE, SGS, Nottingham, the main way of getting people into sport, we've managed to recruit more people via socials this year than our actual taster sessions.
Dylan, what have you done? What have you done?
Well, we spoke to them on the night out, and they've sort of enjoyed it and found us like a good group of lads. We're not going to be able to get like a proper serious team. There's a difference between being competitive and serious. Like UWE, I don't imagine. I'll be honest. I had a little giggle looking at their Superbowl party the other day because it looked like the most tame thing I've ever seen. But it's like they're athletes. There is a difference.
Yeah, that is
It's
true.
not
I thought you were just going to start slagging off the Pirates. I'm like, what have they done to you?
No, not UEA, UWE.
Oh, don't speak to us about them.
Don't bother.
It's just really tame, and it's like we're not going to get people in by being like, oh, we're going to be the next big thing in the country. We're going to get people in by sort of having the fun side of it and having a laugh with it, and
especially for your smaller unis that are especially because ours is dominated. There's no doubt in ours is dominated by the two rugbies. It's a rugby town. If we can take a couple of the lads that aren't typical rugby boys, but are wanting to play a physical sport, and we're getting them across because they're seeing it that they're, oh, well, the Sharks are a laugh. Like, I see that, and they're just having fun. Then I don't see any harm in it. We're, as a club, we obviously talk a lot more shit than some others. Like, I would say it's a huge compliment from Leeds' head coach to turn around to me and say, if you played football as much as you chatted shit, well, you might have a chance of winning something. Like, I take that as a compliment. Because we have a reputation to uphold. But we also, that isn't to be mistaken that we don't take it seriously. And I think that's the line that's been blurred with some teams is they think, oh, well, they chat shit or they take the piss on TikTok. That means that they're not taking it seriously. We do explicitly take the sport seriously. Our trainings are probably as structured as they've ever been. Like we get to game days and I'm physically having a go at people for talking about TikTok, or they're watching TikToks in film and they're getting the phone taken off them, that kind of shit. There's a time and a place for it. And it's about not blurring them lines. Obviously, I can't comment for LJMU. They film their TikToks whenever. That's up to them. But like you won't find one TikTok from us that's not been filmed in people's own times.
I think the thing I would say, and again, this is in LJMU's defense, is that like the reports coming. So I again played in the same division of them. We tried to scout them and stuff pre-game when we were looking at playing them. They played a pre-season game against Liverpool, and the chat from that game from Liverpool themselves with the LGMU were the weakest side in our division, and they were going to go down. And because of that, everyone started ridiculing the TikTok thing. What LGMU did is kept doing their own thing, but just one game. They did well. They won games. They kept going, and they're in the playoffs now. So, like, if that's what you're going to do, and at the end of the day, they've got a chance of ending up as a Prem side next year.
I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't get players from their TikToks at the moment. Our only basis for trying to get players on freshers is, are you fed up of rugby? Is the rugby culture doing your head in? And that's like our main push. We can't really. It's such a hard sport, especially in a small uni. Harry Watt's tiny.
Yes, Nick, I agree with that, man.
Hey, Nick, I miss you.
Also, the thing with TikTok is if you're making TikToks and you're having a bit of a laugh about your team and your teams in your division, when you go play teams, like when we played Northumbria or played Edinburgh, obviously you're playing a game against you really serious, but you can have fun for them as well, as it becomes a bit more of a community in your division. And it's a lot more fun playing against people who have said something about you.
Yeah, that even
totally.
Instagram and all sorts. I don't know what it's like in other divisions because obviously I'm not in them, but we made a big thing. We started it last year where we've kind of got a group chat between all of the teams, not like the members in them, but like the team pages on Instagram. So whoever's running the team accounts will actively, and it's not chatting shit and being harsh to each other, but having a laugh, and it's creating that environment between the teams that we no longer hate each other. Because I'll be the first person to say, in my first year, I couldn't stand Northumbria. I despised them. I didn't like the way they went about things, and I actively got annoyed when I went to play them. But then over the past 2 years, we've obviously had a crack with them. They spent a long time last year ridiculing Newcastle because of Newcastle being boring and whatever. And we really bought into that. And they've kind of done the same with us this year about Leeds, and Edinburgh will always be a laugh, and Glasgow.
Glasgow, because their quarterbacks are 31-year-old guy who's been playing for 12 years.
And not anymore. He broke his leg.
He broke his leg. Oh, fair enough.
Yes, they've got a new guy. That's kind of what hit us in our first game back after Christmas when we played them. We were prepping for this very, very weird 18 running back scheme, and then they bring out this quarterback that's this spread offense with this quarterback that's the fastest human I've ever seen, and he's just sprinting around in the backfield. And I'm like, what is going on? So that kind of hit us off guard, and we were like, what is coming?
But to pick up on that point, I guess the thing that we found this year, especially with being in the division and kind of, we went up. It was difficult. We were the new guys there, and actually over the course of the year, people have realised that we're not dicks. We're not going to be dickheads and stuff. And creating relationships has meant that teams are more willing to share film with us. They're more willing to chat to us, more willing to be accommodating on game days with certain things, and it's meant that the progress of the sport has been kind of a core value of all the games we've played, no matter what.
Yeah,
that's a very coach's side of it, though. Comparatively, I get both sides.
Absolutely,
I'm not fair play if you won a game and then went griddying down the sideline. I imagine the coaches wouldn't be happy, but I know what Jamie's saying as well. If you've got sort of a team community, I chat to. I don't know if you spoke to him, Fraser from Edinburgh at halftime.
Yeah, he's a good lad.
He came over to give me stick about kicking Hull. And he was but I ended up chatting to him, and we were talking about sort of organising stuff for next year. And as you say, it's just pushing that community forward. It's good. You see what NTU were doing the other day, where they've actually, was it the whole league they got together, or a few of them?
Yeah, they got
it's all everyone they played at home.
Game. Yeah, every home game they've been doing it. I think they deserve a shout out for it here, because they've done a fucking amazing job. They should not have to do it, but we're in the situation where people do. So they've used it. They are.
I think sort of creating those connections can lead to those sort of endeavours that NTU has done. If people aren't aware, NTU urge their supporters and also their opponents to bring some food, which would then be donated to a local food bank in Nottingham. In fact, I wrote a story about it yesterday, so it's on Sportake if you want to go and have a look at it. It has a link there for the local food bank that Nottingham were donating to. So it's just in terms of the social media side of things, do you think it lends itself to be more personable in terms of the personalities on the team, and that new players don't just look at, for example, just a logo and that's all they're talking to, but when they can actually see players having fun, which isn't always the case on Uniball social medias, there's a lot of training. Do you think that addition to the social side is also going to be able to bring people in? I didn't know Connor had a dog.
I have 3 that are currently draped around me, but this one was crying. So.
Isn't it mad? It's the same colour as your hair. Mad.
Yeah, I know, right?
Mad.
Okay. Sorry to distract you. Just was that, or you had a crying dog on the street?
No, it's fine.
My mic can hear you.
No, I did.
I know you did.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Basically, do you think that having that sort of more social side and having people who may be interested be able to see faces as opposed to just sort of training montages aids the sort of more social side of the sport as well in terms of gaining leverage on new players?
Well, yeah, especially because I can only speak for us, but we have a campus-based uni. Everyone's around everyone. It's not like we're split across the entirety of a city. And then he's probably the best example because last year we went mental with the Britball Brucey stuff. Like for 4 game days in a row, it was just plastering it everywhere.
It was horrible having people I've never spoken to at university go, "Oh, you're the TikTok guy."
Yeah.
Go on. Explain to me Britball Brucey. Explain to me the legend.
So it was a joke last year because I'm a bit of an awkward person. That
No, you don't say.
Never know. Jamie came up with this idea that I would be a TikToker and do talk about Britball because I'm a bit of a nerd. So when it came to, we were going.
Don't listen to types.
So we were going to Newcastle and we knew we were going to get beat.
Yeah.
Like Newcastle were going up and we knew we were going to lose. So he decided to make it a bit of a laugh and record a few clips on the way up to be combined into a TikTok. And we got beat 28-0, but they didn't score a point in the second half. So that's what we ran with. So it was a 0-0 draw.
It was a 0-0 draw against Newcastle. Against the undefeated Newcastle last year, we had a 0-0 draw.
So we got back from Newcastle, and Ali, who's no longer here, he's not dead. But, so Ali made this edit of a TikTok, and we posted it. And it got like, I don't know, 1,000 views on each one or something. It wasn't
rookie
massive.
Numbers.
But everywhere around the uni, I got recognised as this TikToker.
Yeah, because it kind of linked into the whole Uni for You pages. Because it was getting traction around the uni, and then we kept it going, and we ended up bringing it onto the Sharks Instagram rather than just making it on his account. And then it became a thing a little bit around the uni, not like this massive thing where he's like this big name on campus kind of thing, and it's not that. But people do know, and it kind of gets people talking. And then obviously we transferred that across to the Alphas because we both play at the Alphas. And then when we went to Invergordon, we vlogged that one, put some clips up from that. Enjoyable. So yeah, that's where that's all come from.
So with that, has sort of like Scunthorpe Alphas have sort of very much revolutionised in some sort of way how sort of media can be used in Britball, as well as, you know, having their game days or their home game days be events. Like, has you had any influence from playing for Scunthorpe?
Oh, massively, because I'm involved. I'm on the management team of the Alphas as well, so I'm seeing it from different angles to what just the players are. And I'd say more than anything that the kind of culture side of things is what we've dragged across the most in the terms of the organisation and the making sure that everyone's there playing for the same reason and not just there to have fun. That was the big thing, that it's, yes, we do want to have fun, but we do actively want to try and compete. And that kind of dragged across. But behind the scenes, a lot of the stuff has been stolen from the way that the Alphas have been done. Obviously, we wanted to do a big Friday Night Lights game. Didn't come to fruition because Northumbria pulled out, whatever. But like all the ideas were there. The way that we made, and people don't agree with it because they turn around and say, "Oh, well, it's putting people out of pocket," but I don't think it is. But the way we made it so that even just the fact that our helmets are compulsory to be black and all have the helmet decals on the side, that was a big deal for a lot of teams, that they were like, we're turning up in Edinburgh, have 18 different types of helmets and different colours, and we're going to Glasgow and some are wearing yellow, some are wearing black. We have this big thing where we want to be uniform throughout. We haven't quite got there yet, but the base has been laid. He had a white helmet and we made him spray paint it black.
I have the worst spray painted helmet you'll ever see, with decals hanging off it.
But that's only because it's got to the end of the season. But like it was all done for a reason. It was all done to start trying to professionalize the team, but not in terms of, oh, we take ourselves madly seriously and want to be professionals at the sport, because we are fully aware that it's a uniball league and it's not going to happen that way. But that doesn't mean we can't approach the team in the way that we present ourselves as professionals. It helps with sponsors, it helps with bringing funding in, it helps with the uni reputation. all of that, it's massively helped us with, and our relationship within the uni especially has got dramatically better over the past year, just because of the way that we've presented ourselves. They understand that we'll have a laugh and we'll chat a bit of shit every now and then, but they understand that when it comes to being serious, that we take things seriously. We don't go and post videos of people getting pissed up. We don't go and like do the stuff that a lot of uni teams do, and we've gone away from that. It doesn't mean that Wednesday socials aren't happening. It just means that we're not prioritizing that as the focus, and the focus is trying to compete in a sport that we want to play.
Have you been media trained? Because that was a very, very good answer.
I was going to say that's very, it was very good.
That's a very, very good answer. I need to ruminate on that one.
Really quickly, like you've said that this all sparked as a big change in the club. What was the catalyst for that? Like, if you take it back to the moment you decided that that's what you needed to do, why?
Losing Varsity.
Yeah, losing Varsity was the big thing. Genuinely.
No,
Genuinely.
the worst feeling ever.
Yes! Get melted! Yes!
Deb, shut up.
Being that fucking seagull dance on the pitch
that
after
was
losing
that
to
was
a
the
Div 2 team.
I think we'd kind of already got there anyway, but last year we came back from COVID and we got hit hard by COVID. Like that a lot of teams can use that excuse, and that's not us saying that, oh, boo-hoo, we had that as a thing. Everyone got hit hard, but we especially lost all of our starters. We had about maybe of the 22 that start, we had maybe 4 that had even played the sport before. So it was a difficult one to come back from, and that year came, and just the culture and the year was just feeling like it was a drag. I'd lost my love of playing the sport, and when you get to that, it's like, well, what am I doing it for at this point? If I'm not enjoying it,
you lost your lover.
well, that too.
Take the fucking moment.
Where did your right hand go, Jamie? Fucking hell. Unbelievable stuff.
But yeah, and it felt like it was getting to a drag to be there at the end of the season. And that a lot of people that used to love the sport and used to enjoy playing weren't enjoying it anymore. And the culture was it was transitioning back to what it used to be towards the beginning of my first year and what it was like before I was here. In that because it was so unenjoyable to be playing, everyone was just going into let's just take the social side. And coming in as president, I didn't want that as the approach. I was like, well, why are we a sports team if we're not focusing on the sport? That's just my philosophy. I don't agree with it. I think that the number one priority around every sports team should be the sport. If you're playing sport, if you want to go and get pissed up, just go out.
You don't want to be a social side with the sports team.
Exactly.
Like that.
That's how I saw it going.
That's the phrase that kicks around a lot with a lot of teams sometimes.
Yeah, that's how I saw it going, and I think a lot of the people that had played for either the team before that year or played elsewhere, so like he'd been at Birmingham Lions youth and all that, and we'd all the teams, and obviously people that played senior. I was involved with the Alphas, as we had a couple involved with the Warhawks. And we just realised that it wasn't the way that we wanted to go, so we just made that decision. That it was kind of helped that our former head coach stepped down, but I think he knew it was coming anyway. So it wasn't like it was we've been left in the lurch. He stepped down. What do we do? It was the decision was made anyway. And then we just decided we wanted to go with a completely new overhaul, a completely new scheme, a complete new culture. And then it kind of flowed hand in hand, and it made my life easier being able to convince people that this is the way that it should go, that the Alphas did as well as they did. Because if I'd have turned around and said, I think it should be how the Alphas did, but they went 4-4 in Div 2, it's a bit of a harder sell to people than we went undefeated. We went to Invergordon, we got beat in a very close game and effectively the Northern Final. Like, it's a much easier sell to people to buy into.
Yeah. Okay.
So with that, let's talk about something that you mentioned within that. So I remember when I was told that the Lincoln Colonials, as the Lincoln Colonials, our Hull's varsity opponent, did beat the Hull Sharks, because like this whole meme culture thing for the Hull Sharks, not a particularly new surprise to me, as within my playing days for the Lincoln Colonials, they absolutely thrashed us one year. as you can expect, as they were a Div 1 side and we were a Div 2 side. And we were then sent, I believe it was in the range of 30 memes in regards to Hull defeating us. So, like, what was it about losing Varsity? Was it just because it was a Div 2 opponent beating a Div 1 opponent? And, like, what are your plans for Varsity this year?
So, well, it was we'll talk about, he can take the Varsity this year, I'll take Varsity last year. So going into it, for God's sake, so going into Varsity last year, we'd obviously just stayed up, and we were going into it with the mindset, which was, it was the culture at the time anyway, with their Div 2, we're going to piss it. And so we trained like twice before the game, and we got to the game, we were wearing Warhawks kits.
Yeah.
We were horribly green and white, and we rocked up, and they had this quarterback that we hadn't seen on film who started for the Lincoln Bombers last year, and he basically had 2 drives, scored on us twice. One of them was a bit of a dodgy call, and then we had a kick return called back, and then the second half just nothing happened, and it was just so frustrating when you're going against this team where everyone said, "Oh, you're going to win. We're going to win this game. We're going to go have a massive hit," and then you don't score a single point, and they're dancing on your field.
Yeah. For me, it was as bad as it was because, as far as I've been concerned, and as far as the knowledge that I've ever had is that the Sharks have never lost this game, and if they did, it wasn't anything like it was an embarrassment. And for me, it was drilled in from my first year when COVID hit, when Varsity got cancelled the day of COVID, like it got cancelled the day before.
Yep.
And the entire build up to that was, if we lose to these, it's an embarrassment. Like, we'll never get beat by these. They're never going to go up to Div 1. We're a Div 1 team. We can't get and then we obviously got beat, and I've never been as embarrassed. The only time that I've ever been as embarrassed as I was then is when Glasgow Tigers did their Tiger chant on our field, and I had to walk off, because that is the most tragic thing I've ever seen in my life. But anyway, we'll get past that. Yeah, I've never, in terms of losing a game, I've never been as embarrassed as losing a game as I was that game, because everything about them was beatable, and we were beat by ourselves being complacent. We were beat by coaching like errors. We were beat by people not wanting it and people not caring. And as soon as you saw that people didn't care, that was when I was like, this needs to change.
This year, though.
But then this year they've talked.
Lincoln, we're coming for you. Well, you're coming to us because you don't have a pitch.
Yeah, so this is where it's going to get going. Is they don't even have a pitch to host us on Varsity that they're meant to be hosting, so they're coming to us. Make that one make sense. You can't. So it's personal for me. If Lincoln want it, they can have it. They're only good players as well. So that if they want,
that is true. That is true. Their only good players have left.
At the beginning of the season, Lincoln messaged me and said, "Oh, we're wanting Varsity this year to this big event. We'll do loads of media for it. We're really focusing on our media this year." Look at what they've posted. They've posted about 4 posts since they sent that message. They're chronic. I think that they're really big bollocks because they win like 4 games in Div 2. I'd win them almost by myself. But anyway, they've lost Jamal, who's had the only saving grace that they had, because we like Jamal because he had a good relationship with one of our players.
Everyone likes Jamal. Nobody dislikes Jamal. Everyone loves Jamal.
Jamal is a good lad. But he's gone now, so I have no allegiances to that team. So if they want to bring it and they want to come to us on their Varsity, it's like Glasgow coming to us because Glasgow don't have a pitch. Make that one make sense. They did have a pitch, but well, we won't talk about what was on there. If Lincoln really want it and they want to come to us, they can have it. But they're coming to us, and that's quite embarrassing that we're going to share a coach with them after we've beaten them and taken it back to their spot. Because I have absolutely zero doubts. I have zero doubts that we are going back to Lincoln to go and see their cheerleaders, and they're going to be embarrassed. How's your media training for that one?
We also didn't tell our players about.
Yeah, that's an announcement for our players that were playing at home. Sorry, lads.
I mean, there are better places to do it, but I mean, you might as well.
You've got to share a coach with them afterwards as well. That's.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, so we're going back. So here we go. The group chat's going mental. So we're not going to Lincoln.
Oh, God.
I mean, I don't think you ever need an excuse not to go to Lincoln, but
well, there you go.
Yeah.
Hey
But
man,
it's all right.
Lincoln's nice.
It's coming down to support in his lovely new UH Sharks hoodie.
Yeah, if I get sent it, I don't know what the.
Is
I
it the
don't- I
same
don't-
as this one too? This one.
No, it's not actually.
Oh, I
It's
thought it was. Oh no,
the
you got
one
the
with
same
what
as
the-
Pepper.
yeah. why did I buy a whole Sharks hoodie, ladies and gentlemen? Because I was in a club and I was absolutely shit faced, and I thought it would be really funny.
I don't think
And
that's the reason. It's
Record.
huh?
I don't
Your
see any other
senses
people on board as
just gone into the
Well, no,
comments.
and it's because, as I've said on the show before, is I know that out of probably every team in the country, Lincoln Colonials watch this. The absolute like, I will not hear anything back from this for a few weeks from Lincoln, so I'm not too worried about them knowing or their response at all.
Your
Oh,
senses
so-
just commented telling somebody that they wear shin pads to work in the.
My biggest insult from their game last year was one of their coaches turned around to us and said, "Are you not meant to be a Div 1 side?" And we went, "Yeah, we are, and you're not, and you're wearing chinos, so shut the fuck up." And the ref wasn't very happy about that. But
The worst part is I know exactly what coach that is as well. Yeah.
And that Swan. We're having the Swan's
the Swan's head's coming to me.
We're having the Swan.
Good
I
God.
still can't believe you've got to share you've got to share a bus on the way back. That's criminal.
Yeah.
Absolutely criminal.
Let's look beyond a varsity game that is clearly triggering for Ted.
I don't want to. That's the best bit of content we've had all year. Let's carry on with it. How much are you going to beat them by?
Oh,
Yeah.
so you're saying how many we're going to beat them by? You're saying how many we're going to beat them by? I can tell you right now, if we're going off our 5.985 average per game, we're going to probably beat them 6-0. But we are going to beat them.
Oh, God.
Sunday out with
So-
the lads.
Where's
Score more
what's
points
the?
than men.
I mean, that's the general. That's the general. What's the goal next year? Like, where obviously you guys, I don't know what year you guys are in. Whether you're leaving at the end of this year, like, where do you want to go next year? What's the goal?
We've got probably the most amount of starting leavers that we've ever had leave. So we've had discussions like I'm gone, he might be gone. It's undecided. A lot of, especially on defense, a lot of the starters are gone, and the defense has kind of been historically what's held us together. So it's going to be a tough one. What we've said, and we've had conversations, obviously we always want to improve. The outlook already is if we can kind of just stay up and push on and maybe just clinch into the playoffs, we'll have done well, because it's about solidifying it and keeping this progression going. The focus is more about setting the club up long term because of what we'll have lost. So it's about getting a good intake. It's about getting some players that are going to be there for a while. Obviously, if the team goes in with the ambition of, well, we don't want to win more than 3 games, then that's just idiotic. But the realistic answer is there's a lot of starters leaving. Can they be replaced? We think so, with the rookies that have come in this year and the people that are staying. We think that they're going to be able to step up to the plate. And I genuinely mean that. A lot of people would say that about the players, try and big them up and blow smoke up their ass. I don't. I genuinely believe it. But they will need a big intake to replace the rookies that are going to have to step up, and that's just how the sport works.
What we're also stressing is we're getting a lot of, especially rookies, into senior ball and the summer leagues, because if you have people playing senior ball, I played my first senior ball year last year. It slows the game of uni ball down a lot because you're playing against smaller people who I might just be able to get missed. So it's a lot better to get them into that and then go forward.
Senior ball's a different beast entirely. Like it's the perennial kind of curse of uni ball is that people come, they play for 3 years and then they leave. Like that's the way, and you've kind of got to have a steady stream. Whereas like, you know, you've got guys who have been 9, 10, 11 year starters at senior ball, and that's just the way it's been, the way it will always be. It's hard. It is hard work, and it's hard work to keep guys.
Yeah.
So with that, I think, you know, we are going to keep Jamie and good old Brittle Bruce on to talk about something that's going on in a couple of weeks, because, you know, the BUCS haven't released the playoff structure yet, which is fair because it only stopped the last day of the
not technically true, Tabs. They've released Div 1 and Prem. They've just not released Div 2 yet.
Well, you muppet, I'm about to get onto that. So, thanks for fucking ruining it. Oh, fuck it. Go on then. Let's talk about it then.
You said that they hadn't been released, and they have. So
yeah, but you could have told me after I'd finished it. I can't wait till you leave this show.
He's off to find his other end.
Go on. Second bit of smoke. Now we'll go. Second bit of beef in it. I reckon Gloucestershire play MMU. Let's scrap it out. We might as well do the same thing as Lincoln.
That could be really funny.
Why would I do that?
This is my idea. If there is a restructure, obviously the Div 1 borders, which none of the teams are on the borders, so it doesn't make sense. But if Div 1 board, they'll be lacking a team. So my idea was to make Northumbria and York play each other in a battle of the bastards, and the winners goes up, because now that would be entertainment.
That'd be an interest. That'd be a really interesting game.
That'd be a good game.
That'd be genuinely I think that'd be a really good game.
And Liverpool don't get promoted again to Div 1 North, and you go there. Is that
just because someone just forgets to put Liverpool up in Div 1?
Yeah.
They just forget.
Yeah, be about right
this year.
The redraw next year is going to be nuts.
So, Prem playoffs. Obviously, due to how it works, we know who's coming down. That would be Cardiff and Stirling. Obviously, Stirling forfeit in their last game. Strange. Very, very strange. But, the Cobras, despite giving it their best effort against Birmingham in implosion, they don't manage to pick up a single win this year. Neither does Stirling, so they're both coming down. So it's, Gold, Beckett, Durham, Newcastle for the north. For the south, SGS, Bullets, SGS, Birmingham, and UEA. They're all in the playoffs this year, and I beg someone's got them up because my computer's taking ages to load. Thank you, Connor.
So Gold play UEA, SGS play Durham, and UE are at home to the Raiders, the Newcastle Raiders, and then Beckett are home to the Birmingham Lions. I think that is the best game of them all.
I don't know. I think Durham SGS could be a bit spicy.
Durham SGS will be an interesting game because Durham are a physical side.
If SGS play the way they want to play, they'll run rings around them. It depends if Durham can bring them down to their level.
Especially if you're considering the 22 points that SGS managed to get on the Pride. Obviously, a 60 to 22 nil loss, but still stacking 22 points on the Bullets is nothing to be sneezed at. No. But we can do it now. Who has everyone got for the final? I imagine that it's not changed in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, I think Beckett go there. I think it's Beckett UWE.
Do you now?
Yeah.
Oh, that is different.
Interesting.
Because we've been to watch them 3 times. The one game that they lost, no, it wasn't. No, they didn't lose. They won, but they beat. No, the one game that. So they went to Newcastle and they didn't look the team that they have done. Mariota wasn't playing. I think if he plays as he can do, he's just single-handedly going to drag them through.
So I'll piss on your bonfire slightly. If everything goes right, they'll play UE in the semi-finals.
So what a game, though! Is that's good? That's good. Sorry, go on, Connor.
Seeds right. No, sorry. So if everything seeds right, it would be a gold. If all of the top seeds win, it would be a gold SGS and UE Beckett semi-finals.
Oh, that's disgusting.
That's how it works.
That's absolutely filth. Semi-finals are going to be spectacular.
I genuinely think there's a chance that could end up being an SGS UE final. And
it'll be an interesting one.
Hiring, haven't they?
I just think that playoff Gold and playoff Nottingham is a different team.
Yeah, you're right. They are. Second, post-Christmas Gold are
Yeah.
generally a different team. They pull themselves together. They've done it 2 years in a row now, where they just go and they just keep going and keep going up. And I guess Coach Scott has an awful lot in his mind with the GB camp coming up as well. So whether that will affect him, I don't really think it will. But
So what about the division where Connor, you reside, Jamie and Britball Bruce, you reside, and Dylan, you will reside? I'm the only one that doesn't reside there and will not be finding a home there.
Oh, really?
Division 1, what's that looking like?
So we have the Leeds Griffins playing the Edinburgh Predators. You have the Loughborough Students playing the Warwick Wolves. You have Sheffield Hallam Warriors playing LJMU Fury. And then you have the NTU Renegades taking on the Glasgow Tigers.
I think that was exactly what SJ predicted as well. Lots of in division matchups there. I
think that was basically wrapped up like last weekend.
Yeah.
We're of the opinion, right? And this is controversial. We're of the opinion that Leeds have frauded their way into the number 1 seed because Loughborough haven't played all of their opponents, because obviously walkovers and whatnot.
Yeah,
and I think the general consensus between every team in our division is that Leeds are a good team. Like, that's not us saying that Leeds aren't good. They are an 8-0 team in our division. There's no shitting on them for that. But I think the general consensus is, especially with the standard of teams that they've got to play, Loughborough will piss them.
When we played Newcastle last year, you could tell Newcastle were going up. You could tell the way they handled themselves, the way they played. Newcastle were going up last year. We don't get the same vibes from Leeds. Granted, they beat us by more than Newcastle did twice, but
the logic doesn't sound like as logical. I know it doesn't, but we're of the opinion that Loughborough are up here, like far up, and then you've got Leeds and Sheffield that will fight it out for the second best in the division kind of title.
I don't think it's Sheffield anymore. Weirdly, I've lost faith in Sheffield after the last 2 weeks.
I actually think, knowing what I know, having spoken to some people around here, having spoken to people who've played Leeds, especially a lot of people say the same thing about Leeds, that they're a good side, but they're not a 1 seed. I think it will be very interesting because, again, if everything goes right, it will be Loughborough Sheffield in the semis, and I think that's your real final.
Yeah.
I think whoever comes out of that goes up.
Yeah.
No offense to Leeds.
Yeah. Surely Sheffield can't, did they concede 38 to the Sabres last week?
They did, but however, they were resting an awful lot of their starters.
Were they doing the same when you played them? Because you gave them a run for the money.
They rested they rested their big receiver, who then came on at halftime when it was a tie game, and he scored the winning touchdown against us. They rested their quarterback, their center.
Okay, I'm wrong. Fair play. No, Sheffield could do it.
I'd say I don't agree with this. I don't disagree with the logic of, well, they're better because why are they resting players? You're at uni, you're paying to play. Why? If someone told me I was being rested for a playoff game, I'd tell them to piss off. I'd say I'm paying to play for this club.
He's got a point.
Yeah. So, However, what I will say, just reading your comment. I'm not reading your comments, SJ. I'm actually reading something else. But fine, I can't actually see your comments. I'd love to be able to see them, but I can't. Tab's good on it. So their number 3 receiver is he's a paid European player. He goes and plays in Germany every summer. Some unis do have free sport. I think Hallam may well be one of them.
Such a London comment. We're in the slums up here. I'm not being funny. You throw that down there at your big posh unis. That's just not a thing here.
Hallam may well be one of those teams that do have free sport.
That wasn't just aimed at Hallam, by the way, but that it happens quite a lot. And I'm like, what are you doing?
It does, but it's also the other thing as well is that these guys, a lot of these guys are key, especially the higher up guys, are key players for the same coaching staffs in senior ball. They don't want them burnt out before they go and have to play a full summer of senior ball. I'm sure number 3 doesn't want to end up injured over a needless game when he's got a potential pro contract sitting over him for the summer. Like, you've got to think bigger picture for some of these guys.
If he was that good, he wouldn't get injured.
What a pipe up there from Bruce. What a guy. What a... So to move on, I'm sorry, SJ, I'm going to have to break your heart because we're going to talk about the Div 1 South, and obviously the biggest result of the weekend. The biggest result of the weekend. Put your fingers in your ears, SJ. Put your fingers in your ears. The Essex Blades have won their division. Something that I don't think anyone saw coming. I don't even think the Essex Blades saw that coming. But they've won their division, beating Brunel twice. This time 26-16 yesterday. But to go into the South, Connor, tell me what the shambolic South Div 1 looks like.
Well, the current bracket must be wrong if Essex win their division then, because currently it has the Bournemouth Bobcats as the 1 seed playing the Bristol Barracuda, Portsmouth Destroyers playing Royal Holloway Bears, Brunel playing Essex as the 3, and so but with Brunel as the 3 seed and Essex as the 6 seed, which isn't right. And then the Hertfordshire Hurricanes playing the Exeter Demons, and I think if that's flipped, then the Essex Blades are still the 3 seed, but the Brunel Burners become the 4 or the 5 seed. So that could fuck everything up.
That's not what SJ is telling me right now.
So Brunel are the 6 seed. Does that then catapults the Essex Blades into the 3 seed spot, and in which case that everything else
they just play each other, but
they just swap their seed.
Again, it's the same sort of thing where, well, the best game there is the game where it's not an interdivision one, and that's Hertfordshire versus Exeter.
Yeah.
SJ, I know, but if he's telling me that that's what it's like on BUCS, I can't argue with BUCS, SJ. I can't do it.
I'm looking at it just now, but it's wrong. So we'll wait and see when they clear that up. I can't.
Do the whole Sharks have any interest in Div 1 South? Probably not.
No. Well, the one thing I will say about the Div 1 South is the Div 1 South teams have a far, far better selection of logos than the Div 1 North. And that's about it.
Shout out my brother who plays for Royal Holloway Bears. So I'll be rooting for them. That's my only statement.
That's so funny.
I think we need to go back to Div 1 North and talk about how Glasgow aren't getting past NTU.
Lincoln.
Of course, that's fine. That's okay.
Are Lincoln in the playoffs?
No,
they are not.
Oh, imagine my surprise.
They are the team that misses out, I think, aren't they?
Oh, such a shame.
Yes, they are. I could tell you that.
They are the team that misses out. Are we gonna go? We're gonna try and clear up Div 2 because I had tried to look at it earlier.
No, let's pop on. We'll get into it a bit more on Monday. But in the South, who have we got? Because I don't have a fucking clue. So
Div 2 South. But this is just completely going off what Tanya said to me about how they work out, because lots of the divisions have different numbers of sides. The rules for Div 2 are different than any other division. So what happens is you have essentially 3 mini leagues within the top 8 seeds. So you take top 3, put them in a mini league, and take their records against the other top 2 teams in their division, and then average points conceded against those teams. That's how you work it out. And you do the same for the second places, and then the same for the best 2 third places. So in the South, that means that Bath are the 1 seed and will play Solent.
Mm-hmm.
KCL Regents will have the 2 seed and will play Greenwich. Reading are the 3 seed and will play Gloucestershire. Sebs?
They'll play who?
Gloucestershire, the Gloucestershire
Oh,
Gladiators.
interesting.
And then UCL are the 4th seed, and they will play the Brighton Panthers as the 5 seed.
Yeah. I've got enough to talk about.
When you disappeared, Sebs.
Huh?
I just know you seem lower, like your chin's off the screen.
That's because both my chins are off the screen, but
And
But
then
yeah, no, that's it.
I've never heard of any of them teams.
I'm
Fair enough.
almost sad because in the initial prediction we had you playing Bath, which is the game that we didn't get from the regular season.
Yeah, no, I know it is a shame. I would have liked to have played Bath. That's it. Like,
Yeah,
it would have been a good game. But it does mean now Rob
you get to go
Smith.
play Rob.
I get to come down to Rob Smith's gaff and take a slash on his field. That's what I'm going to do, Rob. I promise you that.
I'd have done that against Lincoln, but we don't have one.
Being carried by Tabs. Oh God, I would.
That's it. On my back. On my whole back.
Fair. And then for the North,
SJ coming in, spitting truth.
So on the North, we have.
Hold on, I think Jamie and Bruce, just try not to go to sleep. All right,
Yeah,
no,
we'll get through Div 2 in a second.
Yeah, I'm just vibing.
This is so Liverpool are the 1 seed, and they would play Bradford as the 8th seed.
Bradford have a team.
Bradford Bears.
So it's
Bruce is on it.
Leicester end up because of their lot, even despite their loss, they end up as the 2 seed and they play Derby. Harry Watt end up as the 3 seed and they would play York, and then Aberdeen end up.
Don't let them in.
Aberdeen. This is literally, I think, the longest anybody will have to travel in thing. Not Green will have to go to Aberdeen as the 4 and 5 seed.
That's criminal.
That is like a 7-hour drive.
No, I don't get this. So how come we've been punished for having less teams and yet Aberdeen have ended up 4th? I don't get it.
So you've not been punished for having less teams. It's because DMU aren't a top 3 side in their division. It doesn't. The result actually doesn't matter because they were already far enough ahead of Nottingham that they were already going to win the division. It's really stupid. I really hope Dylan's frozen because his fate. There's the expression.
Yeah, I think he has frozen. He has frozen, but at a really dramatic moment.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect.
The face kind of sums up how I feel.
There we go.
My Wi-Fi cut out in an absolute fury there. I don't get it. So Leicester lose to DMU and yet are ahead of us.
It doesn't matter. Because they've got more teams in their division and they've played more games. Like, you've only played 6 games. Is that right, Dylan?
Oh, we've not done that 'cause 2 of those were, one Sunderland. And
So that
one was...
because there's lots of walkovers and stuff, and the way that Div 2 always works. You basically take your record. So the top 3 sides in your division are you, Aberdeen, and Napier, I believe. Yes. Yes. No. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the top 3. Whereas the top, so you are 2-0 against them, or 2-1, sorry, against them. No,
We've not lost.
are you 2-0 against Aberdeen and Napier? Yeah.
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 We're 2-0.
So
anyone pick 2 teams. We're 2-0.
So
fucking hell, Dylan, calm down.
Leicester beat Derby and Leicester beat Notts Green, so they are also 2-0. So then you look at average points conceded in those games, and Leicester's is slightly better than yours. Slightly, only slightly, but slightly. I think it's by 0.8 of a point.
0
so that
cents.
then puts you as
That's the face of a man who has to play York. You could do it, probably.
But yeah, the York are a good side, but I think that will be a very, very good game.
Yeah, I have to go and play Reading. That's more worrying. Don't be so selfish, Dylan. You've got to worry about me first.
I think it's the one thing I will say is that it's the way that it's. I think it's potentially just the way that it's worked out with the seedings this year. But there are a lot of like intra-conference or intra-division playoff games.
Yeah, it's boring.
Yeah,
It's boring.
it's slightly disappointing.
What are you two eating?
We've got some lollipops.
Yellow ones as well.
Don't you have training in like an hour?
Yeah.
Athletes, unbelievable. You need to train for
half eight. It's enough time to
You need
get
to train for
through that.
varsity. You need to train for varsity. You need to get ready.
We will do. And Lincoln.
When is it again?
Lincoln, if you want it, come and watch us. Come and watch us train. Come on, we'll live stream it on our TikTok, which has enough followers to have live streams, unlike theirs. Like everything about our team is better than theirs.
You're not going to rag on them for having to wear the Lincolnshire Bombers unis this year.
Well, there is that, but you know,
you're gonna live stream it, Sebs.
No.
You told me you would when you were pissed up.
Yeah, I said I might go. I'm not taking all the camera equipment to fucking hole. Nah, I said I'd come.
He says.
Yeah, no,
I
it's a
said
game
I'd
not
come.
in Lincoln, but it will get nicked.
They've just said the game's not in Lincoln.
Why is that, boys?
Because Lincoln don't have a pitch, the rats.
When is it?
Saturday the 4th of March.
There you go.
Plenty
Just in
of
case
time.
anyone wants to. Yeah, so you need to plug it. You need to plug it. It's all of it. All the people coming in. Who do you think's gonna make it to Prem this year?
The Prem.
Somehow Hull
Loughborough.
Sharks.
Loughborough, and then from the south, I don't care.
Royal Holloway.
So what I can comfortably say is whoever gets to the final from the north will comfortably beat the finalists from the south. Like last year when everyone went, SGS will walk all over anyone that goes up, gets to the final from the north. I can comfortably say Loughborough will do that to whoever gets in from the south.
Fair enough. Yeah, I can fully understand that as well. Because the north isn't as hectic as the south. The south just fell apart. After Christmas, the Div 1 South just fell apart. But I have decided that for Hull versus Lincoln, I will have to be standing in the middle of the pitch just for just for fairness' sake, just right in the middle of the pitch for the whole game. Huh?
Refereeing?
No, I don't have a level 1. Don't have a level 1. Rest in peace, my level 1.
Well, you'd probably still do a better job than Arthur Baffra.
Right. Can't be slagging off Baffer on the show.
Is that not allowed on Sport Tank? Sorry, I didn't realise.
No, you can if you want to. I mean, no. To be fair, like we do, we've not read the Baffer
Yeah,
report.
we've got some rules that have been given to us from the referees across this season, and some of them are incredible.
When we
Go on,
played
then.
Leeds, the ref turned around and said he can't call holding on a pass play.
What?
Yeah, so we had that one. We've also had that the ground can assist a catch.
No.
Well, that was my response. I've also been accused of defensive delay of game for stamping on the floor.
Right. That's
we've also been told this isn't against the rules, but I am going to give you a flag for 15 yards if you do it. And we said, but if it's not in the rules, how can you do that? And he went, well, I've warned you now. And I went, okay.
Bafra.
But I'm not bad-mouthing Baffra because I don't want a fine to come my way. I'm just saying incidences of what's happened across the season.
Well, unless anyone's got any more questions for Jamie and the hero of the hour, Britball Varsity. Dylan's not got anything.
You've only got us one time only, except we'll come back on after we walk all over Lincoln.
We're not doing any more shows. Where's all the playoff information been posted? Div 2 has not been posted yet, but Connor tells me it is on BUCS. If you want to go and have a gander at that, Aaron. And I'm trying to work out what team you play for from the jerseys. I want to say Bournemouth, but I'm not entirely sure. But with that,
I think that's it. Stuart Andrews posted it in UK American football scene, Britball for all on Facebook.
There you go. Who would win in a pint race between you two?
Me, comfortably.
Him. I don't drink. I'm teetotal.
That's a fucking lie.
When's the debut album out?
Well, there has been discussions that us and LGMU Fury will be collaborating to create a song of sorts. So we will be in touch.
Oh, let me ask you a question. How are you going to feel when the funniest social media of the year award is announced? Because obviously you are in the running, so is LJMU.
No, we're not getting it because we've not been consistent. We won't feel devastated by that. As long as we're in the shortlist, we'll take it.
I know. I need you to reshoot that one and say you will be devastated if you lose.
No, because I won't.
You're
if we lose Varsity.
Oh, you just said it out loud. I'm guessing he's cutting it. Crucial error, Jamie.
Yeah. Yeah. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, week 13 is in the books. Connor has departed us early. Thank you to Jamie. He's probably going to go and find his dog. With that, week 13 is in the books. Thank you to, I can't remember, it says thank you to the whole Sharks for sending us Jamie and Bruce to have a chat. Thank you to Dylan. Thank you to Connor. Thank you to SJ for providing some more analysis throughout the week. And also, normally I say to everyone, if you've got a game this week, good luck and all that. But no one's got a game this week, so just relax. Yeah, that's it. That's the message. That is the message.
I'll tell you, we won't have a game the week after either. Lincoln.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you on Monday. Back to a regularly scheduled rundown, where on Monday we will be doing a season recap of the big shocking games, the most interesting games, and also a bit more of a deep dive into the playoffs when everything is all configured. Do you boys want to plug anything whilst you are still here?
Hull versus Lincoln at Hull, despite it being Lincoln's Varsity, because they don't have a pitch. Get yourselves down. We're going to try and make it an event.
Can I have a lift back on the coach on the way there? Can I have a lift back on the coach? That's a genuine question. Yeah, well, my parents live
in between everyone. Stop it getting a bit tense.
I thought you were going to say, well, you can sit at the back of the bus, but the bus might flip up like that. No.
You said it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Unbelievable. Do you know,
after the game, will you be coming to Spoons to do pint races with the boys?
Yeah, go on then.
Yes. Go on, Dillbag. You've got to come down. I'm getting that far in playoffs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I might be in the playoffs still. Oh, yeah, I might be in the playoffs. I'm sorry, I forgot about that.
No, honestly, Tebs, you've got about as much optimism as Leeds' head coach, because even she doesn't back him to win it.
But and also on Monday, I will be doing a full 5-minute discussion on why Rob Smith is a piece of shit. Unbelievable stuff. But all that and more. Go on, guys. You've not promote the Instagram and the TikTok before you leave.
TikTok is UH Sharks official, I think, because we've got so many imposters that are trying to get us, and then what is it? I don't even know what the Instagram is.
UH American Football.
UH Sharks American Football, I think, something like that. Yeah.
UH Sharks Football.
Yeah,
that one. Okay.
There we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you on Monday for a season recap. Goodbye.
Bye.